Hello, welcome to World of Microbe. This is the part 2 of disciplines of forensic biology. In previous video, we have already discussed about the process of sample collection and storage. In basic services provided by full-service crime laboratories, we have discussed case receipt unit, biology division, serology division, firearms unit, document examination unit, photography unit. The link of previous video is in the description. Now in this video, we will discuss about optional field, molecular anthropology, forensic botany, forensic odontology, forensic serology. There are some optional services provided by full-service crime lab. These services enhance investigative capabilities through specialized analyses. A chemistry division refers to a specialized unit within a forensic laboratory that utilizes chemical analysis techniques to identify and examine substances found at crime scenes, including drugs, toxins, explosives, paints, fibers, and other trace evidence, providing crucial information for criminal investigations by determining the main focus of chemistry division is chemical analysis. This division primarily uses advanced analytical chemistry methods like chromatography, mass spectrometry, spectroscopy, and more to identify chemical compounds present in evidence sample. Forensic chemists within this division play a critical role by providing scientific criminal investigations, including linking suspects to crime scenes through analysis of trace evidence and determining the presence of specific substances. Their areas of expertise include toxicology, analyzing bodily fluids and tissues to detect drugs, poisons, and alcohol, controlled substances, identifying and determining their quantity, fire debris analysis, examining burned materials to identify accelerants used in arson cases, trace evidence analysis, analyzing minute traces of materials like paint, fibers, glass, and soil to link suspects to a crime scene, explosives analysis, identifying components of explosive devices. The Forensic Toxicology Division performs analysis on medicines, poisons, adulterated foods, narcotics and hallucinogenic and/or harmful chemicals in various biological samples, and on-site evidence related to identification of the cause of death and examination on regulated substances. The Toxicology Division analyses samples and body fluids to detect various poisons and alcohol in cases of suicide, homicide, accidental exposure, road and workplace accidents, and other unexplained death. Their role is to analyze blood, urine, tissue, vomit, sweat, and gastric juice, determine the presence and amount of drugs, poison, identify the role of drugs and poisons in death, determine if the amount of a substance is consistent with a therapeutic dosage or above a harmful level. They use analytical chemistry and toxicology to apply scientific methods to legal matters. They use techniques like gas chromatography, liquid chromatography, and mass sensitive, specific, and accurate techniques to analyze samples, preserve samples and keep them traceable to the subject of the investigation. Now the question is what it's used for. This division is usually crucial for assisting in post-mortem investigation, helping determine if criminal charges are warranted, helping determine if a person was on drugs or alcohol, helping determine the cause of death. Do like and subscribe. In forensic science, a prohibition and excise division refers to a specialized unit within a forensic laboratory that primarily analyzes evidence related to illegal substances like drugs and alcohol, often working closely with law enforcement agencies responsible for enforcing prohibition, ban on alcohol, and excise laws on the production and sale of taxed goods like alcohol. Within a jurisdiction, essentially, they test suspected contraband to identify and quantify controlled substances. Key points about the Prohibition and Excise Division. Focus on controlled substances. This division primarily analyzes samples like powders, liquid material, and tablets to identify the presence and quantity of drugs like cocaine, heroin, cannabis, methamphetamine, and various controlled substances. Alcohol analysis. In regions with alcohol prohibition laws, this division may also conduct blood alcohol content, BAC, tests on suspected drunk drivers. Chemistry. They use various analytical techniques like chromatography, GCMS, HPLC, spectroscopy, FTIR, and immunoassays to identify and quantify substances. Legal implications. Experts from this division often provide expert testimony in court cases related to drug possession, UI charges. Do like and subscribe. The Evidence Collection Unit, ECU, is charged with the processing of crime scenes and for providing expert court testimony. The ECU photographs, collects, and examines evidence discovered and collected at crime scenes. ECU officers are trained to photograph, prepare, and collect footprint, tool, and tire impressions is crucial for investigations and prosecution. The proper collection of evidence is essential to ensure the integrity of the evidence, which can significantly impact the outcome of legal proceeding. Now the question is, what does an evidence collection unit do? Collect evidence such as blood, hair, glass, and tool mark. Photograph, prepare, and collect tool and tire impression. Provide expert court testimony. Establish the chain of custody to maintain the integrity of the evidence. How is evidence collected? Follow proper procedures for collecting, packaging, and preserving the evidence. Create an inventory log to account for all evidence. Record descriptions in the log that match the photos of the evidence, paper or plastic, and allow it to air dry. If submitting an object with possible hair evidence, place it on clean craft paper and paper fold, then seal it in a paper bag or envelope. Do like and a document examination unit in forensics refers to a specialized section within a forensic laboratory that examines disputed documents, like handwriting samples, signatures, printed materials, or any other document where authenticity or origin is questioned, to identify potential alterations, forgeries, or inconsistencies, and provide expert analysis for legal proceedings. Essentially, they analyze questioned documents using scientific methods to determine their validity and source. Key points about Document Examination Unit. Focus on questioned document. The primary function is to examine documents where there is doubt about their authenticity, authorship, or alteration, including signatures, wills, contracts, checks, ransom notes, etc. Expert analysis. Trained forensic document examiners compare characteristics of the questioned document to known samples, like a suspect's handwriting, to determine if they match or not. Techniques used. Handwriting analysis. Examining the features of handwriting, spacing, line quality, and pressure. Ink analysis. Studying the chemical composition of inks to identify different ink sources or potential alteration. Paper analysis. Examining the paper type, watermarks, and manufacturing detail. Indented writing. Analyzing impressions left on a page from writing pressure. Electrostatic detection apparatus. ESDA, a non-destructive method to visualize indented writing. Microscopy. Using microscopes to examine minute details on the document. Court testimony. Forensic document examiners often provide expert testimony in court regarding their findings on questioned document. Narcotics unit examines solids, powders, plant materials and liquids for the presence of controlled substances. Quantitative analyses are not conducted in routine cases. Narcotics are drugs such as morphine that blunt, rather than excite, brain activity and produce narcosis, sleepiness, but the term has been more widely used in the literature to any drug or substance that affects mood or behavior and is sold for non-medical, illegal purposes. Do like and subscribe. The Explosives Division in Forensic Science examines and identifies explosives found at crime scene. This includes low and high explosives, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and pyrotechnic. An explosive is a chemical compound, mixture, or device that functions by explosion. Successful analysis of explosion is very helpful in investigation. It is indispensable for prosecuting people for illegal possession of explosives. What does the Explosives Division do? Analyzes exhibits seized by the investigating authority, identifies explosive substances in debris, swabs, fragments, and more. Helps in prosecuting people for illegal possession. How are explosives analyzed? Preliminary tests, burning, calorimetric, and chemical tests. Chromatographic techniques. Thin layer chromatography, TLC, gas chromatography, GC, high-performance liquid chromatography, HPLC, and ion chromatography, ICE. Spectroscopic techniques, spectroscopy, IR. Do like and subscribe. Forensic photography is a systematic process that uses photography to document crime scenes and physical evidence. It's an important part of the criminal justice system. Its purpose is to record the appearance of physical evidence as it was found, to provide investigators with a photographic record of the scene, to present the crime scene in court for judges and counsel. Techniques used in photography include crime scene preservation. Prioritize preserving the crime scene before taking photograph. Lighting and angles. Proper lighting and angles are important for the quality of forensic photograph. High dynamic range. HDR photography combines multiple images taken to create more detail. Exposure. Exposure meters measure the amount of light falling on a subject. Types of photographs: overall, mid-range, and close-up. Role in investigation. Forensic photography is involved in almost all sections of a forensic science lab. It's also important for examining engine and chassis numbers of suspected vehicle. A latent fingerprint unit is a unit in law enforcement that processes crime scenes to collect fingerprints for identification and prosecution. They processes crime scenes and evidence, collects fingerprints from crime scenes, analyzes fingerprints to identify suspects, verifies authenticity, and helps convict criminal. Latent stored digitally in a latent fingerprint database. What are latent fingerprints? Unintentional impressions left at crime scene, made of sweat, oils, and other substances from the skin, often found on the palms, sides, and tips of fingers. How are latent fingerprints collected? Powder dusting is a common method that uses fine powders that stick to the oil fingerprint. Other methods include fluorescent powders, superglue fuming, and fluorescent dye staining. Small particle reagent, SPR, is a liquid suspension of solid particles that sticks to fatty fingerprint residue. A polygraph unit in forensic science refers to a specialized department within a forensic laboratory that utilizes a polygraph machine, commonly called a lie detector, to measure physiological responses like heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity while a subject answers questions, aiming to assess the truthfulness of their identifying potential signs of deception in their physiological reactions when responding to relevant inquiries during an investigation. To conduct polygraph examinations, which involve attaching sensors to a subject and asking them a series of carefully crafted questions to analyze their physiological responses and potentially determine or deceptive. Polygraph tests can be used in various forensic situations, including interrogating criminal suspects, verifying witness statements, evaluating potential employees for security clearance, and investigating internal misconduct within organization. A qualified polygraph examiner is required to interpret the physiological data and draw conclusions about the subject's truthfulness based on their training and experience. While considered a valuable investigative tool, polygraph results are not always conclusive and may be subject to legal challenges depending on the jurisdiction, due to concerns about accuracy and potential biases. A voiceprint analysis unit refers to a specialized department within a crime lab that analyzes recorded audio samples to attempt to identify a speaker based on their unique voice characteristics, often visualized as a voiceprint using a sound spectrograph, which is a graphic representation of the voice's frequency and intensity, essentially aiming to link a voice on a recording to a specific suspect. They collect and analyze audio evidence from crime scenes, like threatening phone calls, voicemails, or recorded conversations, to potentially identify the speaker by comparing their voice pattern to known samples from suspect. The primary tool used is a sound spectrograph, which waveforms into a visual display called a voiceprint that highlights the unique features of a voice, including pitch, formants, and articulation pattern. Experts in the unit compare the suspect's voiceprint to the unknown voice on the recording, looking for similarities and differences to determine the likelihood of a match. While voiceprint analysis its admissibility in court can be contentious due to ongoing debates about the accuracy and reliability of the technique, especially when comparing short or degraded audio samples.